At our baby shower, my sister raised her glass and said, "The deed was a mistake. That house belongs to us, not you." Mom added, "We're moving in right after the baby's born." Seconds later, a text from an unknown number lit up my phone. "Don't react. They're recording you." I kept smiling, then walked away from the table, logged into the smart lock system, and updated the access settings. After that, I made one more move. By midnight, 64 missed calls. I should have known something was up the second my sister clinked her glass. We were halfway through the baby shower brunch. Soft music, pastel decorations, everyone smiling, and she stood like she was about to give a heartfelt toast. "To my dear sister and her husband," she began, smiling wide enough to show every tooth. "Congratulations." Then she tilted her head. "But let's be honest, the deed was a mistake. That house belongs to us, not you." You could hear the collective gasp from 3 tables away. Before I could even process it, Mom chimed in from across the table, her fork still in her hand. "We're moving in right after the baby's born. It's only fair. That place was meant to be ours in the first place." It felt like ice water poured straight down my spine. My husband froze beside me, gripping his fork so hard I thought it might snap. I opened my mouth to speak. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. 4 words. "Don't react. They're recording you." My stomach dropped. I scanned the room. Sure enough, my cousin had her phone angled just right, pretending to film the cake. I forced a smile so tight my cheeks ached, lifted my glass, and said, "Thanks for sharing that interesting perspective." Then I set the glass down, stood, and walked away from the table without another word. In the hallway, I pulled out my phone, logged into the smart lock system for the house, and updated the access settings. Every family code deleted. Guest access disabled. And then I made one more move. By midnight, 64 missed calls. I didn't buy the house to make a point. I bought it because my husband and I needed a place where no one could yank the rug out from under us. Before that, family had always come with strings. 3 years ago, my parents were months behind on their mortgage. Dad called it a rough patch. Mom called me her safety net. I covered 2 payments, then a third, then their property taxes, just until spring. At the same time, my sister kept borrowing for car repairs, exam fees, and a sudden girls' trip that couldn't be postponed. I picked up extra shifts, skipped vacations, tightened our budget. When my husband asked if we could slow the help down, I told him it was temporary, that I'd set boundaries. I didn't. The house came up when my grandparents' place finally sold. Mom said there might be something for the kids, then immediately floated that my sister should get the bulk because she'd start a family sooner. The joke was on everyone. We were already trying quietly, and fertility treatments aren't cheap. When the estate settled, the something, for me, turned into nothing. So I did what I always did. I made it happen myself. I saved the down payment, found a small place that needed work, and negotiated hard. My husband and I signed the deed, moved in with hand-me-down furniture, and I spent nights and weekends fixing plumbing, wiring, and the roof. I paid contractors where I had to and did the rest myself. The day the paint finally dried, Mom stood in the living room and said, "It still feels like our family's house." She meant hers. I laughed it off then. I shouldn't have. From there, the asks got bolder. Dad needed a loan for a new transmission, never repaid. Mom wanted help with a private dentist. An advance, also never repaid. My sister called crying about a security deposit after breaking a lease for her mental health. I paid it so she wouldn't move back in with our parents and turn their crisis into another fire for me to put out. When we finally got pregnant, we told everyone at Sunday lunch. My sister smiled, then casually asked if the spare bedroom could stay flexible because she and her boyfriend might need a place for a few weeks. Mom nodded, like it was already decided. My husband squeezed my hand under the table. I said we'd think about it. We didn't. The mistake deed narrative started as whispers. Mom hinted that Grandma had intended the house to stay in the bloodline as a family home. I reminded her the will was clear and that our house wasn't part of that estate. She moved the goalposts. My hours of repairs became a community effort because Dad had given advice over the phone. Then my sister claimed she'd picked paint colors on Pinterest and had therefore invested emotionally. Every week, there was a new thread they tried to pull. I tightened boundaries. I stopped sending money automatically. I put household decisions in writing. When I told Mom we couldn't fund my sister's wedding bridge because we were saving for the baby, she went quiet, then cold. "You've changed since buying that house," she said. "Money made you selfish." 2 months later, my sister pushed further. She showed up with a moving plan scribbled on a legal pad. Dates, boxes, which room they'd take, what furniture we should store, temporary, of course. Her lease was ending, and she needed a soft landing before leveling up. I told her no. She called me controlling. That evening, Mom texted, "She's fragile. Be the bigger person." Meanwhile, my husband started getting messages from a cousin warning us that certain relatives were framing me as the hoarder of a family asset. Screenshots followed. She manipulated the deed. That house is community property. Another aunt declared it like Facebook comments could overrule the county recorder. I forwarded everything to a lawyer friend who told me not to argue online and to document everything. Then came the helpful suggestions. Dad floated, adding my parents as secondary owners to protect the house if something happened to me. My sister suggested a family trust with her as temporary trustee while my husband was too emotional to decide. I nearly laughed. My husband didn't. He cried in the car on the way home and asked if our baby would grow up in a house where people walked in whenever they wanted. That night, I installed cameras, updated the smart lock, and shut off every shared login my parents had ever had for emergencies. I told everyone plainly, no codes, no keys, no surprise visits. My sister accused me of isolating my husband. Mom said I was tearing the family apart. Dad warned me not to make enemies I'd need later. They made it sound like I was abandoning them. All I did was lock my door. The money pressure returned with a twist. My sister claimed I owed her because I'd used family savings to buy the house. I hadn't. I sent bank statements proving the down payment came from our account. She switched angles. She'd sacrificed by staying with our parents so I could play homeowner. That same week, she asked if we could co-sign a car so the baby would have an aunt with reliable transportation. I said absolutely not. She called my husband privately and told him I was financially abusive. He put her on speaker and told her not to call again with that accusation. Every refusal escalated the rhetoric. Family over paperwork, Dad said. Intent matters more than signatures, Mom added. And the nicer our nursery looked, the more intense the comments got. When a crib arrived, my sister snapped a photo and posted that it would look even better in our room when we move in. I took that post as a warning. So by the time the baby shower happened, they weren't just fishing for access. They were staging a scene. The toast wasn't random. It was rehearsed. Make the claim in public, catch my reaction on camera, spin it into conflict, then use it as proof that I was unstable and they needed to step in for the baby's sake. I didn't react. I smiled, walked away, and changed the codes. But the house wasn't the only thing they thought they controlled. They were sure I'd keep paying, keep apologizing, keep smoothing things over, because that's who I'd always been. The old me would have explained, negotiated, compromised. The new me made a list, checked the documents, and lined up a move they wouldn't see coming. And when I made it, the phone started ringing. By the next morning, the group chat with my parents and sister was on fire. Messages poured in, all caps, guilt trips, voice notes of my mom sighing dramatically. My sister's favorite line showed up 3 times. "You're making this harder than it needs to be." Translation: just give us what we want, so we don't have to pretend to be nice anymore. I didn't reply. I went to work like normal, but every time my phone buzzed, my stomach tightened. Around lunchtime, my mom called. "Your father and I are driving over tonight," she said. "No, you're not," I replied flatly. "Don't start, we just want to talk." "You can talk on the phone." She switched instantly to the wounded mother tone. "I didn't raise you to turn your back on family." I almost laughed. The same woman who 3 years earlier had refused to lend me $200 when my car broke down because she was tight on cash, now expected me to house 4 people indefinitely. That evening, I pulled into the driveway and saw my sister's SUV parked halfway across it. She was sitting on the hood, scrolling her phone like she owned the place. "Really?" I asked. She smirked. "We need to sort this out in person. The baby's due in 3 weeks. You're really going to make Mom stress over this?" I walked past her without answering. Inside, my parents were already standing in the living room, shoes on, coats half off, like they'd decided to camp there until I caved. Dad spoke first. "This is ridiculous. It's temporary. 10 months and then they're out." 10 months isn't temporary, I shot back. That's almost a year of chaos in my house. "Chaos?" my sister scoffed. "We're family." "Exactly," I said, "which is why I'm not going to let this destroy what's left of our relationship." Mom rolled her eyes. "Oh, don't be dramatic. It's a house. You'll survive." That did it. I'd been swallowing the digs, the entitlement, the sudden belief that my life was just storage space for their bad choices. Something snapped clean. You're right, I said evenly. It is just a house, which is why I get to decide who lives in it, and the answer is no. The room went silent. My sister's jaw dropped. Dad's face flushed red. You're making a big mistake, he said slowly. No, I said, pulling my phone from my pocket. I'm fixing one. I opened the smart lock app, tapped into the access settings, and deleted every temporary code they'd ever been given. Then I updated the master code, enabled camera alerts, and activated auto lock on every door. Mom gasped like I'd disowned them. You locked us out. I set boundaries, I corrected. If you can't respect them, that's your problem. My sister's voice rose. You think this makes you the bigger person? I think this conversation is over. I walked to the door and opened it wide. Out. They hesitated. Dad muttered something about ungrateful daughters. My sister grabbed her bag and stomped past me, promising she'd never forget this. Mom lingered, searching for one last guilt trip, but whatever she saw on my face stopped her. When the door shut, I stood there for a full minute, breathing like I'd just run a mile. My phone buzzed. Blocked number. Good job. You're going to need to hold that line. No name, no explanation. By midnight, I had 64 missed calls. I turned my phone face down, made tea, and sat in the quiet. For the first time in years, the house felt like mine. The next morning, the silence felt strange. No texts, no knocks. I fed my husband breakfast, checked the cameras, and went to work. By noon, the narrative shifted. An aunt posted one of those vague, family over everything statuses. A cousin sent screenshots from the private family chat. I'd stolen a generational home. My husband was alienating me from my roots. My sister was the real victim. Then came the new angle. Apparently, I had communication issues and needed intervention. I didn't respond. I documented everything. Screenshots, messages, posts, saved to a shared folder my husband could access. I sent one message to the family thread. All future communication in writing. No unannounced visits. No access to our property. Violations will be reported. Dad replied with a thumbs down emoji. Mom sent a prayer emoji. 2 days later, the doorbell rang at 7 in the morning. The camera showed my parents flanking my sister, who was holding a small suitcase like a prop. I answered through the speaker. We're not opening the door. We're here to help set up the nursery, Mom announced brightly. No entry, I said. Leave anything at the door. Dad stepped into view. Emily, don't make this harder. You owe your sister stability while she gets on her feet. I don't owe her my house, I said. Goodbye. They argued on the sidewalk for 5 minutes, then left the suitcase. Inside was a handwritten list of house rules for shared living and a roll of tape to mark my sister's pantry shelves. I put it back on the porch with a note, return to sender. That afternoon, the unknown number texted again. Expect a welfare check. They're calling the police. An hour later, 2 officers showed up. Polite, tired. I invited them in, showed the cameras, the messages, the deed, and the video of the baby shower toast a cousin had quietly sent me. One officer nodded. We see this a lot before babies. You look fine, ma'am. We'll note the harassment. While they were there, my phone buzzed again. Good. Now file a no trespass letter and send certified copies. I typed back, who is this? Someone tired of their games. I printed the letter, posted it on the porch, emailed it to the precinct, and mailed copies to my parents and sister. I also updated the hospital visitor list. Only my husband, my sister-in-law, and our neighbor. Everyone else blocked. The next wave was conciliatory. My mom called my husband instead of me. Sweetheart, give me a key so I can tidy up before the baby comes. He put her on speaker. We're fine, and please stop calling me at work. Click. Dad left a long voicemail about diapers and sacrifices and how the least I could do was provide shelter for my sister. I saved it. Then I made another move. I canceled the auto pay on my parents' utilities that I'd quietly kept going out of habit. I sent one final transfer marked Last Assistance. Do not request again. Then I blocked future payments at the bank. My sister escalated online. Old family photos. Captions about losing her home to paperwork. Some people care more about deeds than blood. When she posted a photo outside my house captioned, "See you soon," I reported it and added it to the folder. Inside our bubble, life changed fast. Without constant demands, evenings were quiet. We installed the car seat, assembled the stroller, prepped meals, fixed the yard gate. I started sleeping again. My husband's shoulders finally dropped. We laughed at dumb shows. I wasn't waiting for the next emergency text. Then the unknown number identified itself. My aunt on my dad's side, the quiet one. She told me she'd overheard my parents planning the baby shower stunt weeks in advance. She'd recorded the rehearsal. Yes, rehearsal. My sister practicing lines about the deed being a mistake. Mom reminding everyone to keep the camera steady. I watched the video twice and forwarded it to the officer. I didn't post it. I didn't need to. When the due date crept closer, my parents tried compromise. Let us stay the first week, Mom offered. We'll help at night. No. We'll sleep on the couch, Dad added. Also no. Then came fear. What if something goes wrong? You'll need us. We'll manage. The night my sister finally understood was the night she tried the back gate. The motion alert pinged. I spoke through the speaker. Leave now. You can't do this to me, she cried. Leave now. The next morning, she sent a long message about how I damaged our relationship. I replied with one sentence. Your bond cannot require my roof. Days later, my dad called from a new number. We can't afford the rent increase, he said, his voice flat. We thought you'd help. You thought I'd fix it, I replied. I'm about to be a mother. My priority is my household. There was a long silence. Then you'll regret this, he said. I hung up and blocked the number. It wasn't all clean. Some relatives stopped talking to me. A few friends drifted away. My husband cried once and said he wished it didn't have to be like this. I told him the truth. It always was like this. We just stopped pretending. The final ripple before the baby came was small but perfect. A cousin I barely knew messaged me. Proud of you for breaking the pattern. If you need anything, I've got tools and a truck. I took a screenshot and saved it. Not for the police. For me. When our hospital bags were packed and the car seat clicked into place, I stood in the living room and looked around. No drama, no suitcases by the door, no house rules taped to the walls. Just our things, our plan, our timing. They thought I'd bend because I always had. Instead, I did something new. I kept the door shut and the line firm. And the longer it stayed that way, the quieter everything became, except inside our home, where it finally sounded like a life we chose. Our daughter arrived on a Tuesday before dawn. The delivery was messy and loud and perfect. While my husband slept in the chair, I lay there in the dim hospital light with her tucked against my chest and realized the noise in my head was gone. No vibrating group chats, no calendar of family emergencies, no fear of a new demand crashing through the door. Just breathing. Mine, hers. That was enough. We sent a short text after sunrise. Mother and baby healthy. We're resting. No visitors. Predictably, the phone started ringing. I muted everything. The unknown number my aunt sent one line. Proud of you. I saved it like a receipt for the life we'd just bought. Back home, the pattern held. We paced the halls at 3 a.m, traded naps, learned her tiny noises. My sister-in-law stocked our freezer. Our neighbor took out our trash cans. People who actually cared showed up the normal way, by asking, not insisting. My parents tried one more angle. They sent a congratulations basket with a key hidden under the ribbon. I brought the basket inside and mailed the key back with another copy of the no trespass letter. My sister posted a poem about being an orphan of paperwork. I didn't respond. I fed my daughter. Then something shifted that I hadn't expected. My dad stopped leaving voicemails. My mom's posts lost their edge. My sister went quiet after a brief message about focusing on her healing. I didn't confuse silence with remorse, but I recognized a truce when I felt one. Boundaries bored them. Attention had been the reward. We weren't giving it. Weeks later, my aunt texted again. Thought you should know. Your parents sold some furniture to cover bills. They're embarrassed, not asking for help. I read it twice. The old me would have called, lectured, paid, resented, repeated. The new me kissed my daughter's forehead and said out loud, It's not my crisis. It felt like setting down a bag I'd carried since childhood. My husband asked if I missed them. The honest answer surprised me. I miss an imaginary version of them, I said. The one where help went both ways and love didn't come with invoices. The real version demanded access and called it family. I wasn't angry anymore. Just done. The apologies came in stages. Dad sent a postcard with a picture of a lake we used to visit. No apology, just hope you're all well. Mom followed with a text asking what size the baby was so she could knit something. I kept my replies short, factual, kind. I didn't reopen the gates. We met once, briefly, in a neutral place, an hour. I restated the rules. They nodded more than they argued. My sister didn't come. That was fine. I'm not rewriting history. They rehearsed a scene at my baby shower to claim a house they didn't buy. They involved the police in a property dispute. They used emotional pressure to force access. That happened. Forgiveness for me wasn't forgetting. It was filing the memory where it couldn't run my life. Here's what changed. I'm not the family ATM landlord or crisis line. I'm a wife and a mother who protects her home first. From the outside, it looks small. Codes changed, keys returned, phone on Do Not Disturb. Inside, it's everything. I'm present. I notice my husband's laugh when the baby sneezes. I hear the soft sigh she makes before sleep. I cook. I breathe. Every so often, someone tests the line. Can she stay for a week? Could you co-sign? Can we store a couch in your garage? I copy and paste the same response from my notes. We don't host, loan, or store. New parents, limited bandwidth. Hope you understand. Some don't. That's their puzzle, not mine. A month after the birth, I got another unknown text. Thank you for not letting them move in. I'm out. It was from my sister's boyfriend. He admitted the whole takeover had been their idea and he'd gone along to earn points with my mom. I didn't reply. I deleted it and took my daughter for a walk. The last sign I needed came from someone I didn't expect. The cousin who'd filmed the rehearsal. She wrote, I'm sorry I almost helped them. Watching you say no made me say no to my mom about something that's been draining me for years. I can breathe again. I sat with that for a long time. Boundaries don't just protect you. They show other people where the door is. I'm not the villain they painted. I'm also not the savior I tried to be. I'm just a woman who learned that loving your family and funding their choices are two different jobs. And I only applied for the first. So here's my conclusion, plain and simple. I'm not guilty for choosing my household over a script I never wrote. I won't apologize for locking my door. I won't carry grown adults through consequences they built themselves. The house is ours. The child is ours. The life is ours. And the proof I did the right thing shows up every night around 2:17 in the morning, warm and loud and hungry, reminding me exactly who I'm responsible for. I get up, I change her, I hold her against my chest while the neighborhood sleeps. The old phone storms don't wake us. The past doesn't either. I didn't win a war. I just stopped fighting one that was never mine.